Hello, my name is Matthias, and welcome to the Game Week 4 edition of the FPL School podcast. As always, I am joined by my co-host Kevin for this week's podcast. Last time around, when we did this for Game Week 3, we were in the same room, and now we're separated again. I'm back in Norway. He is still in London, and we're going to have some talk about Game Week 4 and how everything went in Game Week 3 as well with Kevin, because you used a free hit. I'm going to be interested to hear about your free hit thoughts and whether you liked your moves or not. But first of all, just how are you? How are you doing? Are you excited for international break to be over, especially seeing how Sweden have been so bad and FPL and everything else starting up again post international break?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the international break, as you know, unless it's for games that matter. And of course, these were games that matter, and we played terribly, so not great. Abolished the international break, and yeah, just really happy to be back to club football. Everton have been playing great. Barcelona have been playing great. Helsingborg's EF is Helsingborg's EF, so I can't complain to go back to seeing some club football again, where we get to see players consistently show their worth rather than being sort of surmised by a week's worth of international football. So yeah, very excited to just get back into the swing of things and just having more regular football in my life.
Including Champions League football as well pretty soon, which is going to be really
Hmm.
interesting. Also for FPL, eventually we're going to have to deal with that. But for now, I think we're still like all right with rotation stuff. But there's been a lot of hamstring injuries so far, so who knows really. But let's just go into the go into the main thing, which is your score from this past game week. You used your free hit chip and you managed to get 60 points. And we always say 60 points is where we want to get to in terms of any which game week. The downside, though, is that if you had just done like a simple transfer of Palmer to Fernandes with your actual team and still captain Haaland, because you do have Haaland in your squad, you would have had 59 points. So basically, like you saved yourself a transfer from doing Palmer to Fernandes. Now you have more opportunities there to go with someone else than Fernandes. And you did gain a point, but you have lost your free hit chip. So overall, how did you think the free hit decision ended up being for you? And any regrets when it comes to your actual team and stuff? Like what was like the main things that you wanted to do differently now in hindsight, of course?
In hindsight, it's on video that I kept saying that Everton were gonna beat Wolves, and we did. And I would say I'm a bit frustrated that I have zero Everton representation, but that's also sort of why you free hit, so you can free hit away from your main team. Obviously, I still believed in Haaland, and I also showed a lot of faith towards United, and it did feel weird not having Brian and Mbeumo, considering he was the one who actually scored in the game
Yeah.
against Grimsby. And yeah, it's just a shame with Cunha and how everything shook out. But I guess we're both proven right, considering Fernandes did get a penalty and Mbeumo did score. Them the breaks. And Doy a bit really frustrating, considering he looked good in the game and then all of a sudden got subbed off before the 60th, and then West Ham just turned him in. So quite interesting, but it could be a lot worse. I could have captained Wood, which we might get into in a little bit. But yeah, very frustrated with Sar. I think Sar was a big miss for me because I actually had him in my team in that regards, and I felt like I should have played him. He scored like a random header, but yeah, I wasn't expecting Aston Villa to be steamrolled as
Yeah.
hard as they did get. And yeah, I mean, in some regards, it's a bit frustrating considering I had Sar on the bench. And it's funny that I had a Leeds defender, and I said they defend pretty well at home, and that's exactly what they ended up doing.
Yeah.
But, for the players that I played, I'm not that unhappy. Dango was super unlucky to be slightly offside in the goal, and then Sunderland end up winning at home. So I can't really complain. 60 is the safe score that I like getting on a weekly basis, because at the end of the day, like if you average 60 points, you end up being like in the top 10K pretty much for the season. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can't really complain because like if I had gone with Wood captain or something like that, I would be really pissed off right now. So 60 points all in all. Yeah. Well done, Pedro Porro, for irking it out and getting a random DEFCON bonus to get me to that 60-point mark.
Yeah, for sure. And like at least it's not a disaster. Like it could have gone worse than your actual team, and that happens quite a lot. Like I did free hits for every single game week last season for this YouTube channel, and like sometimes you have a team that looks much better than your actual team, but then the free hit team that you select actually does worse. So at least that didn't happen. That could have happened. So yeah, I think like not losing points is like a slight win, I think, for the free hit. And yeah, you did get some advantages as well. You don't need to have Fernandes in your squad now, just hoping for a penalty in the third game running, basically. Now you can actually either keep Palmer if he's fit to play, or you can get someone else, the midfielder you want entirely, rather than having someone for like more just the one game week. So there are some advantages, even though you didn't really game that much in terms of like the overall score if you had just done like a simple move of Palmer to Fernandes, but you have saved a transfer and you have also saved yourself from having to stick with Fernandes, because the Burnley fixture was like the main thing. That's why you wanted him and Cunha for that matter. But yeah, it's just a shame that you didn't go for Mbuemo, for example, or Sarr starting. Like it could have been a much higher score on top of that as well. So yeah, overall I think it's still a decent free hit for you, even though you could have easily had like a pretty similar score with just some slight adjustments. But anyways, it could be worse. You could be someone who didn't free hit and also did two transfers where especially one of them made a lot of a big difference in the negative sense for Kimo, which is the manager we're talking about, the third founding member of the FPL Goal podcast. He managed to get 41 points, and it could have been so much more if he didn't do the Guiu to Wood transfer, because that gained him 1 point from Guiu to Wood, but he captained Wood rather than the vice captain, which was Joao Pedro, and he also benched Dewsbury Hall rather than benching Guiu rather than Wood. So that's like 12 points in for Dewsbury Hall. That's 10 points more from Wood to Dewsbury Hall. And then Joao Pedro captain compared to Wood captain is 7 points more. So it's 17 points lost basically for Kimo there. 58 points he would have ended up with one more transfer included in his arsenal as well going forward. So, and also a lot more money in the bank obviously, because Guiu to Wood costs a lot of money. And now Wood isn't looking as hot anymore as well, because first of all, he didn't really look that good against West Ham. Then he was subbed off after like 70 minutes, which is unusual for him, but it's maybe the new norm now with Igor Jesus coming in and playing quite regularly. We'll see how Ange Postecoglou handles that. But yeah, he just doesn't look as good anymore now, Chris Wood. So that was basically the main downside to Kimo's Game Week 3. And this was sort of the thing we were talking about last week as well. The Saka to Kudus move is fine. Like, I'm obviously not the biggest fan of Kudus. I've said that a couple times already. I think Semenyo was my favorite pick. He only got 1 point, or he got 2 points actually, because he got a clean sheet. So he got the same amount of points as Kudus, but I think he's a better pick overall in the future. But Kudus pick, that's fine. Spurs have good fixtures. He is a talented player at least. So that's fine. But Guiu to Wood is something that we did discuss. We did think about it because we both had Wood in our free hit teams, because West Ham looked terrible defensively and in terms of set pieces, but against Forest for some reason, or the change of formation stuff, it just worked out to the better basically. But yeah, Kimo, not the greatest game week. What do you think? What do you think about this team in general? Like, what do you think you would have ended up doing in this game week? Like, we talked about it last week, obviously, what we wanted to do in his place, but yeah, I don't know. General outlook of Kimo's season so far. He hasn't had the best starts to the season, but yeah, any positives he can see in your team potentially?
No, I'm just kidding. So I'm very jealous of the Salah Words double up for next week, or this week coming up, because I think Burnley are gonna, yeah, they're gonna get beaten the snot of. So fair enough, but oh man, the double up of you know
Forest defenders.
Nick Williams and
Cells.
um Cells is just not great against Arsenal.
Right.
Against Ange, high line of death, which is gonna cost them dearly this season. I think there are some things there that just don't look great. Watkins, you got to be really frustrated with him. Konsa scoring for England, but not, being able to do the business at home. There's some things there that just I personally wouldn't have done. Benching Dewsbury Hall, I mean, fair enough. He didn't really get the fantasy points when it mattered for most managers, but
Mm-hmm.
if you actually watch the games, you could tell that KDH is like probably one of our most influential players, and
Yeah.
the Hall was coming, and I've been saying it all week that we were going to beat the shit out of Wolves. We
Yeah.
were pretty lucky not to concede again, to be honest. But we looked great, and his goal was great. Like he created that really out of nothing. Jack Grealish got such a fluky assist
Yeah.
in that regards because it's all KDH. But that's just very telling of him. So in hindsight, of course, considering what he fielded, it's not the worst. You thought Watkins and them would finally get a nice home win. They didn't. Um, you would have expected Salah, or that's where I might have benched Wirtz, for
Yeah.
example,
That's what I was thinking.
because Arsenal, we always knew we're going to play super defensive. They were setting themselves up not to lose.
Yeah.
Came very close. It took a Soboslai like mega free kick to basically win the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the only thing that I probably give him some stiff about. But
Yeah.
um, in regards to Kudus and Poro and bringing in Wood, fair enough. I get it. Like, I mean, you were
Yeah.
telling me about how West Ham were going to get relegated and
Yeah.
all this type of stuff prior to the game. So, fair enough. They went absolutely ham. Paqueta,
West Ham.
who Romano got completely wrong about the Aston Villa move.
He
Like,
gets
my
every West
God.
Ham news wrong, Romano. Like he's not to be trusted for West Ham at all.
Yeah, and he should he never takes any ownership when he gets it wrong either.
Yeah.
So uh screw him. And doesn't also give credit to his artists when he steals their work. But yeah, besides that, I think the moves he made were perfectly fine. The only thing that I will give him stick for is benching KDH because Wirtz hadn't shown anything in the next last couple of games, and he was going to play a defensive Arsenal. He should have definitely
Yeah.
gone for KDH. But other than that, I can't blame his team so much. But yeah, man, he like upon reflection sells Williams double up there. When you could have had Sanchez, which is I have Sanchez. I am digging the Sanchez because he's not the best goalkeeper, but VAR is clearly on Chelsea's side,
Yep.
and no, but Chelsea have been good
They
defensively for
have
the
been.
last
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah.
It has to be said. Like it's been a long time of them just being able to keep the clean sheet against
Paulo
most
Chalobah.
teams. Then yeah. And I've always liked the guy, so it's really cool to see that he's getting renowned fate. And that's the one thing I'll give Maresca credit for because I still think he completely ruined Nkunku's career. But yeah, hopefully my boy does well at AC Milan, even though I prefer Inter. But whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fine as well. I think also the moves were fine. That these were like part of the moves we had. We had either just Saka to Kudus or the moves that he did do for Kimo with because he had already done Saka to Kudus, I think, when we talked about it, and then it was just a question of whether to add Wood or not. And yeah, like you said, I did have a lot of faith in Wood just being really good. I had him as my vice captain, or I said he was like my second favorite captain option behind Holland in the free hit squad. And I kind of stand by that in terms of like just how bad West Ham looked at set pieces and just how bad West Ham looked in general. And Forest, like game week 1 and game week 2, they didn't look too bad actually. Like they beat Brentford quite handedly in the first game week, and then they drew Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace are clearly a good team as we can see now. So yeah, just a huge shock that they lost to West Ham, and that was like the main part. That's why Kimo obviously was nowhere near close to doing a free hit because he had triple Forest already. He didn't need to do that. He had Fernandes already, so it didn't make sense for him to free hit. But he still lost out in the end because, yeah, only 41 points is not the best. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with Kimo in the future. We're going to talk about his future plans as well in this video. But now let's move on to someone that had a more fortunate game week. And I say that with emphasis on fortunate because this manager has done no transfers so far. I think this manager playing the first season ever as well might just have forgotten about the game entirely. So they might not even be aware that they are the manager of the week. But yeah, that just tells you that this early season, like this early in the season, anything can happen really. And all of a sudden you have Goodmanson getting 9 points against Newcastle and Juve getting 10 points against Nottingham Forest away. And then Dewsbury Hall getting in from the bench as well with 12 points. Basically 31 points off the bench here with Saka, Palmer and Pirot, the Leeds striker, not playing. And 3 players with a combined 31 points coming in there to help gain this manager 72 points in total. 0 transfers made, 3 transfers in the bank, 1.0 million in the bank as well. So plenty of options for future game weeks. And this manager is actually ahead of me overall as well with 168 points. I have 162. So been a great start to the season, mostly down to Joao Pedro, I think, who's been a really good player. And yeah, Saka was decent in game week 2 as well when Palmer didn't play. Saka was the vice captain, so I guess that also worked out. But yeah, also interesting when it comes to manager of the week. Just like a plus for us in terms of last week when we had a different manager of the week from game week 2 going into game week 3. We said to that manager, use your free hit chip, and that's exactly what they did. And they scored like pretty high score, like higher than me. I think like they got like 65 points or something. So really well used free hit chip there as well. So yeah. But anyways, this team, what do you think about the team in general? Obviously, there's 2 glaring issues here, I guess, or at least one with Saka, who's going to be out longer term. Palmer might be back, but yeah. What do you have to say about this manager? And do you think this manager is still playing, or do you think, I don't know.
I want you to find out. I'm a bit
yeah.
miffed at the whole situation because I want to see if he's just had Palmer and Saka captain, vice captain for the last 3 weeks, or if he's actually been changing stuff. Because if he's just zombieing, I mean, you've had a good start. You might as well actually take it seriously and see where you can go with it rather than zombieing. But if
Yeah.
this is them actually playing seriously, would you like some advice?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely would need some if they do play. But yeah, last week, Captain Palmer, Vice Captain Saka. First week, Captain Palmer, Vice Captain Joao Pedro. So changed Vice Captain. Changed Vice Captain for game week 2. Kept the same team.
Is the team the same?
The team is the same. No transfers. 3 transfers in the bank. So
maybe they just missed the deadline or something like that. If that's the case, I don't know.
Seems really
it's very
strange.
confusing.
Also, like, it would have been better if they had just kept the zombie team. It would have had Joao Pedro vice captain with 15 points last game week rather than Saka with 6 points. So even lost out from the one change that they have done this season. Lost out 11 points from that or 9 points from that. Yeah. So yeah, could have done even better with the zombie team. But yeah, again, great zombie team. But maybe do some transfers in the future. We'll look into that eventually in this podcast. But yeah, just interesting score. Just tells you something about how like random everything is. Like I just mentioned, Goodmanson, Juve, and Dewsbury Hall making up like almost half of the score for this team. It's kind of crazy. Joao Pedro and Fernandes obviously also helping out, and Virgil van Dijk also being a great help in this instance. But yeah, 5 at the back as well. I think the formation is interesting. The classic Christmas tree formation. And that has actually been like sort of the talk of the town. Let's actually talk about that in regards to this team. Like people are saying like maybe 4 at the back, maybe 5 at the back is the new normal now with the defensive contribution points and everything like that. You can see a lot of defenders getting a lot of points for much cheaper. If you look at like the top 5 defenders, midfielders, forwards currently, it is pretty similar between them. So what are your thoughts on like the new meta, I guess, of having like a lot of defenders and focusing a lot on defensive contribution points?
Don't. I do it out of necessity because I'm trying to do Salah Haaland, right? So, which has been pretty fruitful, I guess, because Haaland scored 3 times this season, and Salah's gone.
In club football.
Huh?
In club football, yeah, internationally, he scored quite a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. But no one cares.
Going to the World Cup, you're not.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see about that. I still think Sweden can easily go to the World Cup.
Good luck, Israel.
I mean, first of all, do not compare us to them. What are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying like they would have to beat or draw against Norway, Israel, or Estonia for that matter. Could happen. Estonia almost beat Norway in Estonia, but both of them are at home. But anyways, let's get
What?
back to
What? Do
FPL.
anyways, in
But
regards to that, I don't think that that should be the focus of or focal point of that because we see clean sheets wiped all the time. We never predict clean sheets because it's more expected that more teams should be scoring.
yeah,
So I would not be that friendly with it. I absolutely like have a Tarkowski, have these sort of players that get the DEFCON for sure, but don't have over reliance on that for sure. I think that's something that people are making mistakes with because as we've seen with Elliot Anderson who got 11, 11, 11,
yeah,
you know, it happens. And personally, prioritize players who show consistency in scoring, show consistency in defending. Sure, if you want to have that, but don't get like I don't know. I can't on the top of my head imagine or think of a defender that gets a lot of DEFCON points, but then loses clean sheets all the time because they play for a shit team, right? So like, do not be over
Hjalmar
reliant
Ekdal.
on. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, don't go for a Burnley defender if that's the case.
Or Van
But
den Berg from Brentford as well.
exactly, I mean, they constantly concede. So my sort of advice would just be go with whatever you want, but have consistent players in all positions. Right. I am regretting not having more strikers in my team because I have a over reliance on my midfield, and I have midfielders who don't even play at certain times because of, freaking what's his name? Like Jorginho Reuter got injured, Rand got injured. Like I have a lot of injuries, but
Yeah.
go with consistent players who play, give you that additional boost because they're consistently good at fantasy. Don't rely on gimmick players or gimmick teams for that matter. Just have a consistent, good, balanced team. That's what you want.
Yeah. And we can talk all we want about DEFCON points, but like the highest scoring defender so far is Calafiori, 0 DEFCON points. Second is
Yeah.
Chalobah, 2 DEFCON points from 3 games so far. Timber third, 0 DEFCON points. Senesi has gotten DEFCON in every single game week though. He's been really good so far. But Guehi again, 0 DEFCON points. So like even the highest scoring defenders aren't DEFCON point merchants basically for the most part. And I think this is just normal. Like in like 3 game weeks, and yeah, sure, you'll get 3 defenders that are really, really good. But across 10 game weeks, you would way more expect the likes of like Salah, Watkins even though he hasn't done so well so far, Joe Pedro, Haaland, to get way more returns over like the course of like that many game weeks. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's like a new meta where you need to have more defenders. I think like 4 defenders is fine. 5 defenders, not so much. My regret on this free hit actually in Game Week 3 was having 4 defenders rather than 4 midfielders because yeah, I could have had all 4 or all 3 main Man United midfielders, but I had Dorgu instead. And I should have just seen that coming and just like, yeah, go with Fernandes. He's on penalties. He just has a higher expected point total than Dorgu, regardless of what circumstance is basically. So yeah, I don't really think 5 at the back is the new thing, but yeah, you do you, I guess. It worked out for this in this instance, but it was again just out of the substitutions basically. Goodmanson with 9 and Juff with 10. I think it was perfectly fine not starting either of them against Newcastle and against Nottingham Forest, but came in anyway and got this manager a lot of points and made sure that they became the manager of the week with 72 points. And if you guys watching, you're thinking, I can easily beat this score for next game week and be the manager of the week, then yeah, join the FPL Scope Mini League with the league code FNPQ83. And if you have the highest score next game week, I'll get you featured on the podcast, just like Ehab Al-Hashemi was right now. But anyways, we're done with Game Week 3. Let's move on to Game Week 4 and future predictions and future matches, actually. So this is the section where we make predictions for each and every match for this upcoming game week. And we're going to talk about 3 different matches. One that I wanted to highlight, one that you wanted to highlight, and one that is basically the highlight, which is going to be the Manchester Derby. The game that you wanted to highlight is, of course, Everton against Aston Villa. Jack Grealish back against Aston Villa. That's an interesting game in general, I think. And the game I want to highlight is, of course, West Ham against Spurs. So, like, we cover our own favorite teams, but they do have really interesting matches this game week. So, I think it is warranted. But going through the fixtures and predictions, Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, we both have a pretty simple win for Arsenal. I have 3-0. You have 3-1, so you think Nottingham Forest will score in that game. Maybe with Ange Postecoglou, that could be a higher chance of that happening now. Bournemouth against Brighton, I have 3-1 for Bournemouth. You have 2-1 for Bournemouth, so we both expect some goals in that game, which I think is highly likely, because both of these teams have been really good going forward this season. Palace against Sunderland, we both have 2-0 win for Palace. It just seems like a pretty safe win, really. 2-0. Sunderland have been pretty good defensively. But then we get to Everton against Aston Villa, and we have actually different results. I have 2-2 here. I don't know why, really. I just had like a hunch like Aston Villa can't be that bad for that long. They have to turn it on at some point, but you have Everton winning 3-1, which is fair enough. I think Everton should be the favorites going into this game at home and everything. I just have a feeling about Aston Villa. So I've gone with 2-2. You've gone with 3-1 Everton. Just tell me about how confident you are in Everton in general, both as a team and also going into this game week. Like, how are you feeling as an Everton fan? It must be amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty confident, and I also think that, there's been a lot of things going for us rather than against us in terms of match performances and stuff. I feel like Moyes has finally got the team, ticking pretty well. Beto scoring, Barry's doing his thing, and NDI and Grealish, KDH, all the attacking players are looking good. James Garner, who I've always backed and wanted to see play more, is doing really well too. So it's a lot of focus has to be on the defense because we do still concede quite a bit.
Yeah.
But that's also because Jack Brantwaite has been, or
Jared
Brantwaite, that Brantwaite's been out. We've also had issues with our left back, right back. Like, it's been a lot of weird positioning issues that we've had with the injuries. And
Yeah.
I think once Brantwaite comes back,
And
we'll look better. And
Mikolenko. He's been out, right?
sure. Yeah, he has been,
Yeah.
but he came back and started playing again. So,
Okay.
So I think like if we can fix our defense, we could really go far this season. And I really want to see
Okay.
Asnu also start playing more as well because I think there's a big gem that we got there from Bayern.
Yeah.
Pickford's great as always. Very happy with him and very happy that he might be signing a new, basically lifetime contract at Everton to see him at the club for the rest of his club career. Very, very excited about the game. Grealish Super Bowl or Grealish Bowl, as we'd like to call it. I think that will also be a little bit spicy for him because at a new club against his, former love and, boyhood club and whatever, it could be a lot of fun. And I think this is the right time to play Villa, but I also know for a fact that Villa just seem to have our number normally,
Yeah.
which is a bit frustrating, which is why originally I was going to put 2-1, but I'm like, you know what, screw Watkins. Let's go for 3-1. Let's just dominate. Like we look really good at Hill Dickinson, and I think I think the fans are really up for it too. Like they're really behind the team, and it's fun to see as an Evertonian and as someone who's obviously went to Goodison Park several times in their life. It's always a good atmosphere. Real Scousers are Everton fans anyways, so it's really cool. Like it's great to see that we sell out every game we possibly can, and considering the
Yeah.
capacity is way more than it was at Goodison Park, awesome to see. And I think we're gonna ride the wave, and I think we can do it against Villa. But I think 2-2 is a completely fair assessment of Villa as well because they are much better than what they've shown currently.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what their new signings can do as well, with Harvey Elliott potentially coming in there and making a difference, maybe playing Rodgers more centrally, as we saw with England now. That's better suited for him. So, yeah, I think this might be the game where Aston Villa come back a little bit, but I think Everton are just good enough to at least not lose this game and potentially win as well. If I were to choose a winner in this game, I would choose Everton for sure at home. But yeah, just have like a gut feeling Aston Villa will show some signs of life at least in this game. And like you said, they do sort of have Everton's number, so that could always happen again. But who knows with David Moyes now in the side? Don't really know. Did you play them with Moyes last season, or did you not after he came back? Moyes versus
I felt
Ramsey.
like we did. He did face them, and was it that we lost that game and then we got into the flow state where we start winning and drawing against everyone.
Maybe.
If
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he lost to them and then went on a good run.
Yeah, might be the case. You can look that up while I'm talking through the next few games that we're not going to discuss further. But first and foremost, we have Fulham against Leeds. We both have Fulham just keeping the clean sheet here because Leeds haven't shown really nothing going forward in general. I have like a sneaky little 1-0 win because I don't think Fulham have shown that much going forward either. But you have 3-0 for Fulham here, which, yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough, could
Villa won
happen.
1-0, by the way.
1-1?
Like I said, 1-0. They won
They
1-0.
won 1-0, okay.
Yeah, like I said,
When was that?
and then we it was his first game in charge,
Oh, okay.
or
Fair.
yeah, and which we lost it, and then we went on a good run.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fulham leads actually coming to you sort of there in this game because Fulham have actually made some interesting and fun signings, including the guy who's aptly named Kevin. And yeah, as my foreign correspondent when it comes to football, like what can you say about Kevin? Just like a small aside here with the Fulham Leeds fixture because you've gone with 3-0 there. So yeah, is he part of the reason why you've gone with 3-0 or like what do you feel about Fulham in general?
I mean, you forgot that they also signed a Swedish kid from Bayern who looked really good for them in the preseason. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, what can I say about him? Pretty young winger. I'm pretty sure he's like only 22.
Mm-hmm.
Showed a lot of you know, what you call it, like looked good in the Conference League as well, and I'm pretty sure he scored for Shakhtar in the Conference League.
Yeah,
And yeah,
in the
he's just
qualifiers.
he is. What can I say about him? Like, it sounds weird, but he reminds me a lot of Willian.
Okay, that's fair from Shakhtar.
Yeah, yeah,
Playing
and
for
also
Fulham.
former Fulham and current Fulham.
Lazy
Like he,
comparison.
yeah, I mean, I guess, but they had very similar play styles, just
Yeah.
very pacey, good shooting,
Mm-hmm.
capable of scoring with both feet, and
Yeah.
he's a really good playmaker as well. I think that's something that's pretty underrated about him, that he
Yeah.
gets a lot of assists, which is what Willian was known for, being
Yeah.
able to do
Yeah.
both things pretty handedly. And yeah, I think I'll be completely honest with you. I'm really irritated that he went to um, Fulham. I think Fulham got a really, really good talent in him.
Yeah.
Of course, he was a little bit slower with his goals contribution when he was playing at Shakhtar to begin with, but then he like slowly grew into the game, and I think that's why it's the perfect time for him to make this bigger step up to the Premier League because he'll definitely just get better and better, and Fulham are sadly a good side. I mean, I don't no disrespect to Fulham fans. I just still dislike Marco Silva for everything he did at Everton and a despicable human being. No, that's a bit much. But yeah, I think he is a very interesting player. I think one of the crazier things about him is the fact that he really got into his own in the qualifying for the Conference League because he just started scoring like crazy and
Yeah.
getting lots of assists, which, of course, you could also argue that the teams he were facing are a bit iffy. I mean, but then again, what was it? Crystal Palace only went through 1-0 against Fredrikstad in the end, or how
Yeah.
much was
1-0
it?
against Fredrikstad. But Fredrikstad are a tough team to break down, actually.
Yeah,
Like,
but come on.
no,
They
but
should be.
seriously, Bodø/Glimt are a really good team in European standards, and they always struggle to score against Fredrikstad, so it's not even the worst. Like, and also at fucking Kunstgras, so away, I think, or did they play at home on
Yeah,
grass? Maybe they play at grass. I
yeah.
don't know, like artificial grass in Fredrikstad, but yeah. Anyways, but yeah, Shakhtar didn't they face either Besiktas or Fenerbahce in the qualifiers? I feel like they did because I feel like I watched it for work. Yeah, Besiktas they did. He scored 3 goals against Besiktas, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So like we know that he's capable of doing quite a lot and has helped Shakhtar. I mean, I don't know if it's such a achievement, but sure, he did win the Ukrainian league title and cup
Yep.
whilst he was there, and he he's just a really good player. I think, yeah. A lot of people have given me a lot of, oh, when did you decide to leave your day job and become a footballer and all these type of corny stuff and like,
Yeah,
oh,
of
why
course.
would your parents call yourself Kevin and all this type of BS that comes with it. But he is a quality player, and I think I'm very jealous, to be completely honest. I mean,
Yeah,
I can't really say anything when my wingers are Jack Grealish and
NDI.
NDI and Skilliman, who are both
Yeah,
killing it in the league.
yeah,
So, but Fulham fans should be really happy. I just hope that he is a, you know, the streets won't forget sort of Brazilian rather than a Brazilian who goes to Man United because apparently Brazilians at Man United is just not a thing, right? Except hopefully, I
Cunha, we'll
mean,
see.
I like Cunha, but maybe it'd be good if Cunha was terrible for a season, goes to Everton on loan, and then we're happy. So yeah, you know what? Screw Cunha. No, I'm just kidding.
Fair. So yeah, a little bit of an aside there, but needed to talk about Kevin with Kevin. Had to grab that opportunity basically. Next game that we have predicted is the game between Newcastle and Wolves. I gone with a 0-0 just because I'm super disappointed with Newcastle this past game week. I had Elanga on my free hit, and Newcastle just didn't attack at all against Leeds. And I just didn't really like what I saw there. But now I think Wista's going to be fit to play. He played both games and scored in both games in the international break. Wista did. So yeah, he could be ready to start this game. That will obviously help a whole lot. And I think also Eddie Howe needs to change his tactics and actually play both Elanga and Barnes, who he somehow benched last time. But I've just gone with a 0-0 just because of that. Like, they haven't really scored that much apart from the goals against Liverpool when they were like super hyped. So yeah, just gonna go with a 0-0 there. I think Wolves also have faced some really tough teams. That's why I've gone with a 0-0 there. But you obviously you saw Everton batter Wolves last time around, and you do think Newcastle will do the same thing again, and I think that's fair enough as well. It's just me being upset with Newcastle. That's made me go 0-0 in that game. Then we come to West Ham against Spurs, which is a game that we both have gotten with Spurs getting the win there. I was close to giving it to West Ham, but I think it's just mainly down to the jinxing that I like didn't want to put faith in West Ham. Usually that doesn't end well for me. But yeah, we both gone with a narrow 1-goal loss for West Ham. I have 1-2, 1 goal for West Ham, 2 goals for Spurs. You have 2-3 or 3-2 for Spurs in that game. So yeah, what do you think about this game in general, and what do you foresee with Spurs now with the new signing coming in with Xavi Simons and Colomani potentially as well playing in this game? Yeah, what do you think about this game in general? It's an interesting London derby where anything can happen really, but how do you see this game playing out?
Yeah, I think Thomas Frank obviously added some really good players in both of them. I think Colomani is criminally underrated, actually. I
Okay.
think I'm quite surprised that he didn't actually re-sign with Juventus, and I
Mm-hmm.
think he really wanted to. He looked really good in the Serie A, and I think he's looked very good in most places. And I think with a bit of experience, he probably would have beaten Argentina in the final because he
Nice.
had some big chances that he
The big
luckily
chance.
squandered, but also Martinez just being iconic in terms of in the Argentina shirt. He's just all of a sudden as good as like Iker Casillas or Manuel Neuer. Like he's putting just crazy performances. But
Except
I
against the
really like
Netherlands.
Colomwani. I really like
Colomani.
Colomwani. I really like Xavi Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Barcelona talent, and really pissed off that he ended up going to PSG when he could have just been a bit patient and probably would have earned his place in Barcelona, especially considering the fact that we had issues with financial fair play and had to play our kids. So he would have gotten the chance.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for him, though. Quality player. I think Arsenal fans should be pretty pissed off that, and Chelsea fans especially,
Yeah.
who because both teams were sort of linked with him at one point, and Chelsea especially. Um, so I think it's a big, big transfer, especially if he can stay fit, and especially if he can, because yes, he does have a tinier frame and all this type of stuff, but he's going to be able to ball out in the Premier League, and I think with Kulusevski injured as well, it's going to give and Madison as well. He's going to get a lot of playing time. He's going to look good. It's just a question of when he'll get his integration into the team. But I think, generally speaking, great players. Spurs have looked pretty decent, all things considered.
Yeah.
Yes, they fell to Bournemouth, but let's be honest, Liverpool probably could have lost or drawn that game as well.
Yeah.
It took Chiesa crazy volley and all this type of stuff to the end. Salah getting a last minute goal when most of us had him as captain. So yeah, like I think it's not such a discredit to Spurs that they lost at home. It's more credit to Bournemouth who have
Yeah.
shut down a lot of critics because a lot of us thought they were going to have a dip year, but Iraola and the boys, even without Kluivert, are doing the business. Who was
Yeah.
their like talisman last year? So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I think Spurs, sadly, because I much prefer West Ham winning this game. But yeah, I think the Spurs are just going to win it. They've had the season going a little bit better. West Ham lost a game they shouldn't, but won a game they shouldn't. So it's quite interesting to see
Yeah.
Lucas Paquetá staying, Jared Bowen finally getting amongst the goals, Callum Wilson even randomly scoring.
Yeah.
So like,
With really
you
nice
know,
movement as well. Like he looked really good doing it. I think he is a bit
you know,
underrated now. Like he like only like 2 seasons prior, it was just like, is he gonna come in and take over the striking spot from Isak? And he did sorta. Isak was shifted off to the left, and Callum Wilson
yeah.
actually ended the season better than Isak in terms of FPL at least. So yeah, he's actually still pretty good. But yeah,
Yeah, but I still think you should be playing Fulkrug over him because
Fulker's
I
injured
think
now though.
yeah, and now Wilson will start playing more.
Probably.
But yeah, getting Bowen, Paqueta amongst the goals at the right time is
Yeah.
always great. So that's why I still think that West Ham are capable of scoring in the game. I sadly just think Spurs have that just a little bit extra, uh, a little bit of heat to see it across, but I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham were able to get a draw. Sadly, I don't think a win is potentially on the cards, but I would absolutely love it if they did.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a cheeky win. I think West Ham just looked a lot better overall against Nottingham Forest.
I
But then
forgot to say something else as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Obviously, because you're not going to touch upon it, but I have to. Sorry, not to interrupt. Obviously,
Yeah,
storyline game, right? For many reasons.
bring it, bring it.
Kudus is gonna have. He's
Yeah,
gonna do
yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah, yeah,
in his power
yeah,
to score in that game and
yeah.
to get an assist. And if he does the chair celebration, someone should go and punch him in the face.
The clothesline.
But
For
yeah,
sure.
it's obviously these sort of matches obviously elevate players into
Yeah,
complete beasts. I mean, we've seen that with Robert Lewandowski. Every time he played Dortmund, my God, it's like all of a sudden he has to score a hat trick every time he plays them. So it's gonna be very spicy. He's probably gonna get a lot of flack by the fans. Like, I
yeah,
don't
he
know,
should.
do fans like care? Like what is the sort of he's gonna get booed like crazy, right?
Yeah, has to be for sure.
So like I don't think it's like a case of some fans showing love to him. Like he's gonna just get stick. End of
Yeah, yeah,
discussion. So yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting game because of that. I saw an interesting stat that I wasn't expecting to see. Obviously, Lamine Yamal is on top on the list by far,
okay,
number one. But I didn't expect Kudus to be the second best in Europe for successful take-ons
yeah,
and successful dribbles. So
yeah,
yeah, it's pretty interesting to see, and he's shown a lot of that with Spurs already this season. And yeah, man, he's gonna be extra motivated. So anyone with Kudus in their fantasy teams, fair enough, man. I think you might sadly see a goal or assist out of him.
okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, you do bring up a good point. Like these are the type of matches he gets up for. Like we've seen that in the past as well. That's probably why people have such a good view of him. I guess he's up for big matches in general, or matches that matter really. But yeah, most likely he's just going to be doing the same thing as he always does. He looks tremendous, like having people on his back, and he manages to keep them behind him, and then he gets to keep the ball and walks backwards, runs backwards, and passes it backwards as he usually does. So yeah, looking forward to see more of that. Like he did against PSG, and people are like, "Oh, he's amazing! Oh, he did this Neymar touch! Oh, fantastic! Oh, he crossed the ball into the box twice, and Richarlison made like overhead kicks to score! Wow, fantastic!" Anyways, Kudus is
I,
overrated.
pr-
Kudus is
I,
overrated. Let's move on. That's fine.
I am praying for you that he doesn't have a big performance because
I'm
otherwise
going
it's
so hard against Kudus now. Like, he's trash.
uh,
Okay. But anyways,
okay.
I do think West Ham can actually get a cheeky win here potentially. It just depends how it looks now with the new formation and everything like that. They should definitely keep playing with four at the back, playing Matias Fernandes. Maybe they get in the new Monaco midfielder as well in there for Ward-Prowse. We'll see if that happens. But yeah, interesting game in general. I really like that it's like the 6:30 game or 5:30 game, I guess, in the UK. That's going to be a really exciting watch. But it does start among the same time as my own team in Norway, Vålerenga, plays against Brann. So I'm going to have two really important games at the same time there, which is going to be interesting, or pretty close to the same time. But yeah. Anyways, we both have Spurs narrowly beating West Ham. It's going to be an interesting game for sure. We also have Brentford against Chelsea, another sort of local derby there, with Brentford also being in West London. We both gone with a Chelsea win. I have Chelsea clean sheet 2-0, and you have Chelsea just beating Brentford barely 2-1, which is interesting. But Brentford did look a lot better at home than they did away, so I guess that's maybe part of your thinking. And it's going to be an interesting game. And Chelsea haven't really been like, they've gotten some really nice results, but they haven't really like, apart from West Ham game, of course, where West Ham are awful, they haven't really shown that much either in the other two games, in Game Week 1 and Game Week 3. So we'll see what happens against Brentford. Interesting game for sure. Burnley against Liverpool is not really that interesting. I think I don't really know why I only put 2-0. It should have been 4-0 like you did. I was going to mention that earlier when you talked about Liverpool destroying Burnley. Man United had 3.63 XG against Burnley, so I can only imagine what Liverpool can do. That's going to be an interesting game with Isak potentially coming in towards the end of the game there as well. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with them in general. We'll talk more about that pretty soon with the fixture ticker. But for now, we're going to talk about the Man City-Man United game, where we have both predicted 4 goals for Man City and a win. I have 4-1 for Man City. You have 4-2, which I think is also potentially viable because Man United do keep scoring in these games. We saw that last season as well when they beat Man City 2-1. But yeah, Man City are looking like not so good so far this season. Only 3 points from 3 matches. But they have faced like their bogey teams in Spurs and Brighton, who they lost against last season as well. Man United at home, typically been a really nice fixture for them. I think this is like the type of fixture that could either be like a narrow Man United win all of a sudden, or it could just be like a 6-1 even. We've seen that in the past. We don't have Balotelli anymore, but we can definitely see something similar to that again. So yeah, 4-1 for Man City for me, 4-2 for Man City for you. Do you think there's any way that this doesn't just become a blowout for Man City in the end?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we've seen United show signs of life, specifically against City randomly.
Yeah.
Liverpool, it's like, oh, let's concede 7, but against City, sometimes it's like, oh, let's eke out a random ass win that no one predicted. So, but I feel like with Erling Haaland's current form
Yeah.
for the season, you know, started really hot with them in the Prem, obviously, and I feel like I've been proven right with this. Getting those goals at the Club World Cup clearly helped because it's stabilized him to a point where he's now just regularly scoring goals again. Scored well in the Premier League. Obviously went crazy in that match against who was it again? Moldova? No, who was it?
Moldova, yeah.
Moldova. Yeah. Okay.
11-1.
Um, like what was it? 5 goals and 2 assists, or 5 goals and 1 assist?
5
Something
goals and
crazy like
2
that.
FPL assists, basically.
Yeah. So like
Or 3
man's
maybe.
back. I predicted that he'd be the top goal
No.
scorer.
2 assists, 3 FPL assists is the real thing. Yeah.
So are you telling me that he was involved in 10 goals?
No, 5
Or do you mean
plus
that
5
it should
plus
have been
3.
an
No,
additional
no, 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 no,
assist
no, no. Just like one of the assists, or one of the
is
yeah,
enough though?
2 real assists, and if it's FPL
One.
assist, 1 like deflected target thing. So yeah, he was involved
Okay.
in either 7 or 8 goals out of the 11.
Crazy.
Yeah,
So my boy's back. I did say that he'd be the top goal scorer again this season. Not the hardest prediction, I guess,
yeah,
but generally speaking, I've been on the City hype. I have 3 players. I do believe that they can turn things around and do get something great from the season as well. And it's funny because their great is winning stuff, and whilst other teams are just happy just being top 4. So their aspirations and goals are to do some business. And with Rodri, slowly getting back into it, Reinders looking good. I understand they're defensively they're a bit shaky. I'll be very curious to see how Donnarumma does, and if he starts, I'm assuming he'll start
Yeah.
against United, considering it's such a big game. Um, yeah, I mean, even with Donnarumma, they still have a good backup in Trafford. Like, I still think Trafford has a lot more in him. It seems like it was just he has a bit of nerves about him,
Yeah.
like, because the funny thing is, against Wolves in a comfortable game, he looks good. When it's a little bit shaky, that's when he looks really bad.
Yeah.
So they've shored up the goalkeeper position. Obviously, I think their midfield looks great. Defensively, a little bit hit and miss, but United have been atrocious defensively.
Yeah.
So, and like people are like, "Oh, Nana going to Trabzonspor, yay!" Like, that's not the issue, though, is it? And now I'm hearing that Casemiro might be staying until 2027. I'm like, oh my God, like you guys clearly have the wrong priorities in terms of fixing things. And yeah, sadly for United fans, I think this is going to be a bit of a ass whooping. But of course, we have seen Amorim randomly show up against City. I mean,
Yeah.
he did it with Sporting, and
Yeah.
Gyökeres of all people got a hat trick. But I still think City are gonna turn this thing around and get them going. Like, it's pretty crazy that they've what is this their second home game? Because considering the fact that they lost their first home game
Against Spurs.
to
Yeah.
Spurs.
Yeah.
So I think this is really a statement game for them for so many reasons. And what better way to get that going than having your, absolute crazy striker score how many goals in total then? Did he only score against Moldova or did he score in
I mean, he
the
played
other
Finland in
game?
like a friendly, and he scored a penalty, I think, in that game.
Yeah, so there
So,
you
yeah.
go. 6 goals
And he also could
uh,
have taken the penalty. He gave the penalty away to Tilo Osgaard, who scored a hat
to
trick
get a
with that
hat
penalty.
trick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he scored again later on with Holland assisting him as well. The same guy, the former Wigan talent.
Yeah.
Uh,
And now
yeah,
I'm playing at Rangers, right?
yeah, he's on Rangers. Yeah, he's pretty good.
So, uh, so yeah, I think, a lot of the positive things I think Rodri should be playing
Yeah,
potentially.
for sure. Played
And I
90 minutes
think,
last league game.
yeah, and I also think what Big Phil might be soon ready as well, or is he still injured? Well, if Uncle Phil can play, then we'll be looking pretty. Like United have had so many things go against them, including
Yeah,
the Cunha thing, which is a very big deal. So
yeah.
yeah,
Cunha's probably out,
of
but also I
course,
think Marmoush is probably out as well. He got injured and was subbed off after 10 minutes
yes,
against Burkina Faso. So,
yeah,
which might open things
which
for
is
Reinders, I think,
yeah.
in
But
FPL.
I also think Doku, who looked really good for Belgium, actually. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, it's Kazakhstan maybe that they played when he got like a goal and assist, but screw it. That's what you need to do when you do it.
yeah,
Cristiano Ronaldo was the best at that. So, yeah. So I think City just have everything going for them to sort things out. I mean, it took United multiple penalty shots to finally beat Burnley at home. So
yeah,
I think City will be really gunning for it. And
yeah,
yeah, I know Pep's had a little bit of a hard one now recently with the divorce and everything like that. Like it's clear like Guardiola is very much a manager when the personal life stuff starts happening. It really affects him. I mean, I remember how completely different Barcelona were when Tito Villanova passed away. Like
hmm
you could just tell, and you could tell with how he was at coaching Bayern and stuff like that because he was Bayern coach at the time.
yeah,
Like it really affected him, and these sort of things affect anyone in that regards.
yeah,
But you can clearly tell it affects Guardiola in a different way, and yeah, I mean to the point where people are like, "Is it over for Guardiola?" Which is crazy to say about a guy who what two 2 years ago won the treble. So
yeah,
like, come on, give him more credit than that, and
yeah.
give the guy who's won like 6 out of the last 8 Premier League titles more credit than that. Is it 6 out of the last 8?
Something like that. I mean, 4 in a row, and he won a single one before that, or
Three.
two? Yeah, he won 2, and then Liverpool won, and then 4, right?
Yeah, something like
And then
that.
Liverpool won
So
again. Yeah, 2,
yeah,
Liverpool won, 4, Liverpool won, and then now it's going to be 8, and then Liverpool win again, according to the
potentially.
maths. But now, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So
yep. I think you're.
yeah, so I think they're gonna absolutely smash them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised either. And I think 4-2 is actually a decent thing as well. Man United are capable offensively. They do have Mbuemo. They do have Bruno Fernandes. They do have some other players as well. Amad Diallo is usually pretty good, especially in these types of big games. So, yeah, could be some goals for Man United as well. But I think Man City should have more than enough to see them off and actually turn back on again and look really good again this season, because they have been struggling for the last 2 game weeks. But I think that's going to change pretty quickly. But let's move on to some more future game week stuff and look at the fixture ticker, where we now have also the addition of the expected goals and expected goals conceded after 3 matches each. So I figure I should just run through that quickly before we talk about some other stuff with the fixture ticker. There's some things you can judge off of already. Wolves have the worst or bottom 3 for both expected goals and expected goals conceded. They've had a really big struggle so far this season, but they have faced City, Bournemouth, and Everton, 3 really good teams. So yeah, not too surprising, I guess. Chelsea, just good in both regards, creating a lot of chances, conceding not that many chances. So they've been pretty good in general. Brighton and Man United have a lot of goals in their games. Both of them have created a lot of a lot of expected goals. But they also get a lot of expected goals against them as well, which is interesting. Newcastle is sort of the opposite. They just have a really low scoring game usually, or like not that many chances. They have a bottom 3 expected goal share so far, but they do have the best expected goals conceded so far as well. So yeah, some interesting stats there all over. But I think the main thing I want to talk about when it comes to the fixture ticker is like one of the main things we have to think about when it comes to Game Week 4 as well, and that is Liverpool, with Alexander Isak now coming into the team, and already we have a crunch. Like the way they have solved it so far is the fact that Szoboszlai would have or has played right back, because they haven't had either Bradley or Frimpong back, but now both of those guys are back. I think maybe Frimpong is not out or back yet, but anyways, they're gonna have a right back now. So Szoboszlai, McAllister, Wirtz, and Gravenberch all need to fight for like 3 places in the midfield, and then you have Gakpo and Isak and Ekitike and Salah obviously on the right. You expect Salah on the right and Isak up front eventually once he gets fit to play. It's going to be the thing. So who drops out of Gakpo or Ekitike, or if maybe both drop out with Szoboszlai coming into the team and putting Wirtz wide, for example. Like, I don't know. For me, it's really confusing with Liverpool. So I just wanted to get your outlook of the whole situation. Like, what do you think Liverpool's ideal lineup is, and how long into the future do you think that will come with Isak? You've seen him now for Sweden in like 20 minutes. Like, how far away is he from coming back, and what will be Liverpool's ideal 11 when he is back?
I mean, they just spent record amount of money on him. They're not going to rush him in, especially considering the fact that they beat Arsenal.
Yeah.
Like this game against Burnley is a bit of a whitewash. Ekitike barely played for France. I don't know if you saw what happened with him, that he
Yeah.
came on in the 96th minute or something stupid like that. Um, but they basically just made sure that he gets to play for France rather than because I believe he was one of the ones who was eligible to play for Cameroon or something like that.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
Might be.
Um, and basically, the way I see it, Gakpo and Ekitike probably are the ones who will be rotated out the most, because
Yeah.
Gakpo already was getting rotated out for Luis Diaz and vice versa. I think Ekitike is young enough and definitely um, both him and Isak are good enough to play left wing as well, because they both have actually played those positions before in club level. And in Isak's case, he actually played at left wing in the national team. Waste of his talents, in my opinion, to be completely honest, but
Mm-hmm.
more than capable. And we've seen him actually do that for Newcastle when Callum Wilson was in the purple patch of his life.
Yeah.
So what I expect will happen is Isak will obviously become the starting striker,
Yeah.
but I do think Ekitike is actually going to retain a position in the team and
Okay.
actually play left wing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think the thing that people also forget is that Gakpo can actually is like, for all these FIFA football manager people out there, his alternate position is playing as a striker, because we got to see that with the Netherlands. Actually, we've seen Depay and him sort of rotate from playing striker and left wing. So
Yeah.
um, I think those two will actually get to play more often than we expect. But sadly, or maybe not so sadly, what's great for Liverpool is that they have a very luxury problem
Yeah.
of a lineup headache in the sense that everyone's playing really well.
Yeah. I mean, they did have like obviously a great season last season, but they had like barely any injuries and were able to play the whole like the same team every single game week. But
Yes.
now they have a lot of options and need to make some adjustments according to that. But yeah, I think it's interesting as well to see so far that Ekitike has actually been subbed off for around 70 minutes each time, and Gakpo's played 90 minutes every single time. So I think when it comes to Isak coming in for one of them, for either Ekitike or Gakpo in Game Week 4, I think it actually will be Ekitike because Ekitike hasn't shown to be like a 90-minute man. But I think like you, eventually Ekitike has just been so good. He's been amazing. Gakpo's been great as well, don't get me wrong, but I think Ekitike sort of has to play for that reason. So I think people will sort of overreact and think like, oh, Ekitike got subbed off for Isak. He's not going to play that much. Gakpo's going to be the starter. And then eventually Ekitike is going to be the starter instead, like you said. So I think that could be sort of like a trap potentially that managers could go into. But I think it's difficult to tell as well. Like it might just be like the substitution of Ekitike rather than Gakpo so far in the games. It could also be an indication that he does trust Gakpo a little bit more for the closing of those games. So yeah, I think it's kind of tough. I don't really have a good read on whether Ekitike or Gakpo should start mostly, but I just can't see Wirtz, Salah, or Isak being dropped. Maybe Wirtz, it could potentially happen, but they've, again, like you said, they spent so much money on these guys. You would expect them to start most game, if not every game. So yeah, I think Ekitike and Gakpo, one of them is going to have to drop out mostly, or they're going to rotate both and sort of cancel each other out as FPL assets eventually. But yeah, I don't think Isak, like you said, he is still pretty far away, and they are going to take their time with him. So I'm not too worried about him. Getting him into my FPL team, I don't really mind waiting until Game Week 8. So personally, my own tactic is the fact that I just have Salah. He's the safe option for Burnley and Everton. He's not going to be subbed off. He's going to play 90 minutes. Isak's not going to affect his minutes. It might even affect him positively when it comes to points. It might be negative as well. Who knows, really? But so far, Salah hasn't really been that involved in the game. So yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. I'm pretty happy to just have Salah for Game Week 4 and 5, sell him to fund Haaland in Game Week 6, and then bring in Isak for Game Week 8 eventually, and have him be my primary Liverpool asset. I think that's like the best tactic for me. But in regards to like a wildcard draft, for example, as we'll get to pretty soon now, with the wildcard draft that I selected, I struggled really with which Liverpool players to choose from, because Burnley obviously is a fantastic fixture and you want to have a lot of Liverpool assets, but I just don't find really that much space for anyone. So in terms of Liverpool assets, if you were to choose someone for Game Week 4, who would you pick and why really? Like, and how many?
Yeah, probably two or three, yeah.
Yeah, but who? Would you
I
have Salah, or would
think
you just go Gakpo for the next 2 game weeks and then sell, like, ideally?
I I mean ideally, if we like, I'd probably go, if you don't have Salah already, Salah probably number one. I think Virgil van Dijk number two. I would have said Frimpong if we knew his fitness levels instead of Van Dijk, just because there's so much potential there.
Yeah,
I think people keep forgetting just how good he is. Um, and I'd say number three, I still think Ekitike over Gakpo, because
yeah.
I still think Ekitike can play for a little bit until we know Isak's sort of form.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think that Ekitike might overtake Gakpo in terms of the left wing.
Yeah,
So yeah, for sure, I think those are the players. But I don't hate Gakpo at all. Like, if they could somehow figure out how to play all three of them, cool. It's never gonna happen, but I think, yeah. I think buying Isak was such overkill anyways,
Yeah.
but
Me too.
he's amazing. Like if you
Yeah.
get the opportunity to buy Isak as a club, you should take it.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that the sort of other clubs, huge clubs like Real Madrid's, Barcelona obviously loved him, but we can barely register a 2 million player sort of player.
Yeah.
So how the hell would you register someone who costs 130 odd mil? But yeah, I get why they bought him. They're basically trying to ensure that they win the league for the rest of their lives for the next foreseeable future. But um, yeah, I would say number one, Salah still. Number two, Van Dijk. Just the two, because of their consistency, will always play. Van Dijk can come up with a goal or two from a header and a corner.
Hmm.
And he's just Mr. Consistent anyways. He never gets subbed off as well. So he'll see 90 minutes. And I also think Ekitike for the price point is really good. But I also think due to form, Slot will find a way to get him to continue playing.
Yeah.
I do agree with the whole. He loves his Dutch boys. Gravenberch got so much more playing time.
Yeah.
Gakpo got a lot of playing time before the injuries that sort of caused him to be out of the team. And yeah, I totally understand that point. But I think Ekatike, for what he's currently doing and his output, should be considered in your team.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Liverpool are super interesting for sure. They have really good fixtures overall, but again, Gaming 6 and Gaming 7 are slightly tricky with Palace away and Chelsea away, two teams that are pretty good defensively. So I think there's like a little point there. So yeah, like I mentioned previously, I think Salah Gaming 4 and 5, Isak from a Gaming 8 is like the main thing to prioritize when it comes to Liverpool. But I think Isak's going to be just fantastic. 10.4 he costs now for Liverpool, the starting striker there. He's just going to be tremendous value. So whenever he's ready to play, I think Gaming 8 is also like Gaming 4 after an international break. So he's going to be more ready to play again at that point. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. The other thing I want to talk about when it comes to Fixture Ticker is the other team that has had quite a bit of change this past week, and that has been Nottingham Forest, who sacked Nuno Espirito Santo really harsh after getting 7th place last season, but just something went wrong with him and the owner and Edu, the new transfer manager there and stuff. And Ange Postecoglou has come in there, who has a friendship with Marinakis from the past. They both have Greek heritage, of course. But yeah, just Ange coming into Nottingham Forest, how do you think that will affect their assets, mainly their defensive assets, especially because a lot of people have double up, like you saw with Kimo, has double up Forest defenders. Chris Wood, like how will he be changed with that? Will there be any positives with Ange coming in, like in terms of their attack potentially? Like, how do you see Postecoglou coming in changing what happens with Nottingham Forest assets going forward in the FPL?
Yeah, I think offensively they could look a lot more interesting. Not that Nuno did a bad job or anything like that, but I think it's just one of those cases of I think defensively they're going to look a lot worse. So
Yeah,
I would sell my defensive players like hotcakes, but also just keep an eye out for which players will get. Like I think Morgan Gibbs White might play much better, and like Hudson Odoi, like these sort of players will be interesting to keep you know, track though, but I
yeah,
wouldn't def de sell. Like I'm already considering selling Williams to someone.
yeah.
So
I
like
get the British one.
sell, just sell.
Yeah,
I'm not saying get Leeds players, but just sell.
yeah.
And
I mean, even
yeah,
before Burnley and Sunderland, though, like, wouldn't you just keep them for those two games at least?
I guess I mean if you're already got like a Goodmanson or one of their four, like if you got a 4.0 defender and can stash them against Fulham, Bournemouth, Spurs, and maybe you might try your luck against Wolves. Um, Yeah, I mean, fine. If you have a 4.0, then you're good. You're talking about Leeds, right? Now? Or are you talking
No,
about
no, no, no.
Forest?
Talk about
Oh, you're
Forest.
talking about
So
Forest. Sorry, sorry,
Ange,
sorry.
yeah,
Sorry. Sure. That is your selling point after the Sunderland game. Sorry, I thought you were talking. I was looking at Burnley on Leeds. Sorry.
no,
In regards to Nottingham Forest, fine, keep them for those two games because those are easy bounce back games for them. But if they show even signs of worry there, like if they don't happen to win both games and all your assets flop, sell them like
yeah.
hotcakes.
After
I
that, for
think people
sure.
are.
I mean,
I think
Newcastle in
people are.
terms of defense, like, I mean, I think Newcastle will be a lot better now with Sam Voltameta. So yeah, that's probably still a tough fixture at St. Jesus Park. But yeah, Burnley and
Yeah,
Sunderland, I think it's fine to keep them. After that, you should probably
The,
sell them regardless, I think. Even if
yeah,
they do get a lot
yeah,
of points against Burnley and Sunderland. I also think like
yeah.
Milenkovic in like a Ange system, like he's a tremendous center back, but like the high line, I don't think that's going to be super suited for him,
No,
technically.
but Ange is very good with like his center backs getting goals in that sort of tip. Um, in those positions. So I think Milinkovic might even start scoring more goals with Big
Maybe.
Ange on the helm. But you don't want to rely on goals when he's conceded six. So let's not.
Fair. Yeah, we'll see what happens on Nottingham Forest. It's going to be interesting for sure with the complete change of manager. I think it's also been pretty clear, like with the transfers that they have done this summer, they were not Nuno Espirito Santo transfers. They were actually Ange Postecoglou transfers. I think they sort of had this like in the books already. And yeah, just waited for the moment to pounce basically. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the fixture ticker. Let's move on to the wildcard draft. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because we're already running a bit long with this podcast. But my team has gone into a lot of, or the wildcard suggestion team has gotten a lot of changes since last time, mainly in defense because I have gone with like a bit of a different variation just to fit in Haaland and Salah for now. Like I said, I do prefer having Salah for especially like GW4 against Burnley is obviously really good, but Everton at home I think is like probably the best captaincy choice because that's a tricky week with Chelsea playing away to Man United. Like maybe Joe Pedro's a good captaincy there, but who knows really. Haaland against Arsenal away, I don't think that's a good captain. Semenyo against Newcastle, I think that's a tough game week in general. Liverpool against Everton, who knows what's going to happen in that game. So I think Salah actually, wait, speaking of Liverpool against Everton, Salah could happen in that game. But yeah, so it is kind of a tough game to predict, and I just wanted to have Haaland and Salah, so I've gone with like a pretty cheap defense in general, but I do still like Gabriel and Cucurella especially. But yeah, we've seen Van Dijk look good in the past. Frimpong can be good. There's a lot of good defenders in general, but I think there's some pretty good valuable 4.5 defenders who I've highlighted with this draft in general. But yeah, just quickly, Haaland, Salah, would you still have both of them if you were wildcarding for this game week, or would you drop one of them potentially?
As someone who started the season with both, I'd say keep both
Yeah,
or make sure to have both. It's a very easy way of guaranteeing you some points. So, yeah, no, for sure. I think it's good to have both. Both have pretty interchangeable good games and these sort of things. I've been a bit, I'm way more disappointed with Salah's output comparatively to Haaland.
yeah,
And I think Haaland's actually looked better than Salah. I mean, obviously after the international break, you'll say that, but just generally speaking, just looking at the Prem, like Haaland's missed a lot of big chances and stuff, but the lack of big chances for Salah is also a bit alarming. So a
yeah,
lot of these people who went no Salah or will feel much more, it will be such bigger scumbags if they went with Holland. But people who went with Salah without Holland will feel like shit because Holland's actually been delivering the goods. So, in my opinion, having both is the best option.
yeah,
And I think you can still create decent teams without having over reliance on amazing defenders because a lot of budget cut players are actually doing really well, in the looks of Senesi, Richards, Jif, who I think looks amazing, and I'm
yeah,
really annoyed that I don't have him because he looked great in the preseason, and I'm
yeah.
glad that he finally got his due in the most random match that he could against
Nottingham
Nottingham
Forest.
Forest. So, yeah, I think also King looks awesome for Fulham and
Yeah,
was pretty unlucky, all things considered, to not get his goal against Chelsea. I'm of the camp that it's actually a foul, but
yeah,
I've seen, I didn't realize it's that overwhelmingly negative that people are like, oh, it's definitely a goal. Like he completely destroyed a pretty honest player in Chalaba's foot, Yeah, it's an accident, but accidents happen, so it's a foul, in my opinion.
yeah.
So,
That's fair.
um, but yeah, I think generally speaking, this is a really good team. Reinders, I'm a bit annoyed because I think his output could be a lot more than it has been, as we've seen in game week one. But like you said, with certain injuries and stuff at City, he can definitely get his opportunity to play more like a 10 or 8, and that's where we're gonna see some craziness out of him. in regards to the players that you took out, Cucurella, I feel, is a bit unfair, but I
Yeah,
see why.
I
You still
wanted to
got
keep
your
him.
Chelsea cover. His Chelsea cover is pretty good idea with Tossin. It's just a question of whether Tossin will play. He's been playing lately and looked good. But yeah, taking Chris Wood out, fair enough. Like he's a bit of an unknown quantity now because of Ange and also because they do have some strikers who are waiting to pounce and to take the reins out of it from him. Dorgu out, fair enough, guys. Like United are just,
I mean,
and
like
it's
the
weird that he didn't get to play against Burnley at all. Like
yeah, it's
he's
kind of strange
clearly they're one of their better players.
for sure. But yeah, I was
Uh,
just about to say like the downside to having both Salah and Haaland is the fact that you can't have the likes of Kukurea or like can't have too much of it at least. And like again, I have no other Liverpool players apart from Salah because Gakpo is slightly too expensive. Like you could go for Gakpo rather than NDI, but again, you need to find money somewhere. Ekitike rather than Joe Pedro or Mateta, you got to find money somewhere. Van Dijk, you got to find money somewhere. Like it's like you can't really get any other Liverpool players if you want to do Salah Haaland mostly. Like it's going to be tough to bring in Liverpool players at that point. So
yeah, no, for sure.
that's the downside, including like defenders as well. I think I made like a different variation without Salah as well, where I had Gakpo rather than Salah and saved a lot of money that way. But I think it was just mainly like upgrading Richards to Munoz, upgrading Tosin to Kukurea. Like that was like the sort of moves that I would do, and Mateta to Ekitike or Gyökeres or whatever works in that regard. But I just didn't think the team looked good enough, so I just went back to the Salah draft. I think this draft is looking actually pretty good. Like you have a lot of players that are looking pretty nice so far. Reinders, like I said, could do better, but I just figured having some Man City coverage is nice for these games because they have really good matches, apart from the Arsenal game. But again, I think Game Week 5 is kind of tricky. I think that's like a low-key good game week to free hit in, actually, because there are some really tricky fixtures with Man City against Arsenal being the main one, really. Yeah, overall, it seems like you like the look of the team. Any players that you like wouldn't have at all? Any players that you don't like the look of?
No, I think generally speaking, like the most of the players that you picked, obviously makes sense that you're off Aston Villa considering they've been so
Yeah,
inconsistent. But of course, they do still have fixtures going for them, but they haven't been going, so screw them.
yeah.
In regards to Xavi Simmons, always a fun little shout. I do think the uh, complete lack of Spurs players besides Vicario might be a bit eh,
But
a
yeah, like
bit
which attackers? Like who would you choose?
I mean, I guess it's the ones that you, my boy,
Yeah, we'll
Richarlison,
get to that
of
pretty
course,
soon.
but and also
Xavi Simons is on the
obviously,
cusp.
yeah,
Do you reckon he'll start straight away
I think he will. I
against West
think
Ham?
considering the fact that he played quite a bit for Netherlands as well. I'm pretty sure. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think he'll get playing time and start. I think also you have the Mickey van de Ven and all these sort of things that you
Uh,
could pick, and
prefer
also
Vicario.
obviously Mr. Kudus himself. So, but yeah, I can't knock it because obviously Njai is obviously a better pick than KDH for a reason. That's because he's penalties. He is slightly more attacking, generally speaking, as well. But you
Mm-hmm.
could always make King. Could you make King into Kudus and NDI into? No, you only save. No, you would save 1.5, right?
I mean, NDI and Kudus are the same price, and King is zero point 0.5 less than Dewsbury Hall, so that would cost too
Ah,
much. I
okay.
think you
Okay,
could.
it
I think there's
is.
actually someone in the bank with this, but like I prefer King much more than those guys, especially with the next two fixtures, like Leeds and Brentford. He's a
Sure.
pretty surefire guy in my team, actually.
Yeah, but KDH is done pretty good and
Yes,
Kudus.
but King is playing attacking mid. Is KDH still gonna keep playing attacking mid once Dibbling
Yeah, of
comes
course.
in?
Yes.
Yes. Is Dibbling not gonna play then? Because Grealish and NDI are not getting dropped.
I'll be completely honest. I have no idea why we bought him, but yeah, I guess it is to eventually try start playing him. But
Because like
I
you do have
think
Gana Gay in midfield as well, you could replace. So like I think KDH is definitely going to play for Everton. I'm just not sure if he's going to play attacking mid for like the foreseeable future?
It's hard to say. I don't think he should. I think there's a reason why, or I don't think um, Gay should continuously be playing when we got Big Tim and Gardner in midfield, and we
Yeah,
also have. But yeah, you do raise an interesting point with Mr. Guy, but
do this for help.
it's just the question. You're right, but
He's also looked so good
Richard
in attacking
relied on
midfield, so
Grealish.
yeah, I don't think that you should change anything right now, at least. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but Dibbling will eventually start getting a chance. But um, yeah, fine. I mean, I will concede that, but again, I do think that Spurs have looked good offensively. That you should consider at least one of them. I
yeah.
mean, Mateta when he plays Sunderland and West Ham, fair enough, and
I think actually
Palace have looked
Richarlison would be more the player I would potentially get from Spurs rather than Mateta, because like I do like Mateta. Sunderland at home is nice. West Ham away should also be nice. Palace usually batter us anyway.
Mhm.
But West Ham now, with how they looked against Nottingham Forest, maybe not as good anymore. And Sunderland have actually been pretty decent defensively. And Sarr's not there. SA has left. It could be more of a struggle for Crystal Palace now. So
Yeah,
I'm not completely sold on Mateta. That's why he's number 10 in the rankings out of the 15 players.
yeah.
Because like long term, like the fixtures after that are like Liverpool and Everton, and then there's like Brighton and someone else pretty tough, Arsenal I think as well in the next 4 after that. So the fixtures aren't the best. I think one of the reasons why Palace players are so like in the in vogue, I should say, is not only did they have 2 good matches now, but Game Week 6 is against Liverpool, and a lot of managers are looking to free hit in Game Week 6 and escape from that fixture against Liverpool. And if you do that, then Everton, that's also a team that has looked pretty bad defensively so far. So I could see why you would want someone like Mateta or Munoz, for that matter, for those fixtures. But if you're not free hitting in Game Week 6, it's going to be Liverpool. And I think Everton at that point will have Branthwaite back, and it's going to be tougher to score against them as well, and tougher to beat them in general. So yeah, Mateta's the one that I am considering dropping out, and I could do Mateta to Richarlison and get some money there as well to potentially upgrade someone to a Liverpool player or upgrade a defender, for example. Because I'm not ecstatic about having only 4.5 defenders. In my own team currently, I have Gabriel as like the steady Eddie and can play in every single game week and trust him to potentially get a clean sheet or potentially get a goal in any game week. And then I have 4.5 rotating defenders, but I don't quite like having just 4.5 defenders. I think it's a bit too much. So maybe Mateta to Richarlison, if he is still expected to play as a striker there, and then get an upgrade in defense could be what I would do potentially as well with this. But anyways, but I did have Vicario as like Spurs asset. I did actually mention before the season that I was considering Vicario as my goalkeeper, because he is actually a really good goalkeeper. He had a bit of a down year last season, but the season prior to that he was amazing, and he's back to being amazing now. Like he's been a huge reason why Spurs had such good starting game weeks this season. Even against Bournemouth, could have conceded so much more if it wasn't for Vicario and his outstanding saves. So yeah, I really like him from Spurs. But yeah, Van de Ven could have had in. Romero, someone that I had in the team last time. But again, felt like doubling up on Spurs is a bit much as well. But they do have pretty nice fixtures, especially Wolves and Leeds pretty soon defensively. That's going to look good. But yeah, that is the Wildcard draft. If you want more of my thoughts on each one of these players, you can check out my weekly Wildcard draft video from this past week, where I talk about every single player and why I've selected them at the place that I have selected them with the rankings, as you can see with the numbers next to their names. That means how highly I rank them and how important I think they are to have in your team. Haaland is number 1. I think you would agree with that. Just to have that quickly, like he's the main guy to have currently, right?
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think the fixtures for Man City are just fantastic, apart from the Arsenal game. But again, gotta have some tough fixtures at some points. But let's move on to your current plans. And yes, did mention Richarlison. You said, I asked you about your current plans. You said Palmer out for someone and Guyu out for someone, most likely, potentially for -4. And I think that sounds reasonable. I think I would honestly myself just stick with Palmer out to someone if he is indeed injured. If he's not injured, I think you can just stick with the team for one more game week potentially and just weigh up your options, get another transfer so you can do 2 transfers next week. I think that could be a good option if Palmer is ready to play. But if he's out, potentially, even still, like just getting some more funds in by downgrading Palmer and having more funds to upgrade other parts of your team, I think is a good idea in general. So Palmer to Semenyo, I think, is a nice move, or whatever midfielder you want to have. Maybe you want to go with another Everton midfielder because you're scoring at will now, so maybe doubling up isn't the worst thing anyway. And you can always bench Dewsbury Hall for the tougher fixtures anyway. And Richarlison I do quite like, also because obviously with your own affinity for Richarlison, I think that makes sense as a transfer as well. But yeah, how do you look at your team currently? Zero funds, one free transfer. Limited options to do moves because you have Salah, Palmer, Haaland, so you don't really have much more wiggle room in that regard. So yeah, what do you feel about your team in general and your plans going forward? Like, what's your general outlook and your main areas of concern?
I mean, obviously, my bench isn't the best, but that's the whole point of the no bench squad. A bit annoyed with Jorginho's injuries, and I've been really unlucky with a lot of injuries, just generally speaking, because
Yeah,
obviously I had Frimpong who got injured instantly, Rand got injured, and then this player got injured, that player,
Palmer,
I mean,
Jorginho.
Palmer, obviously.
Yeah, Guiu
So
getting moved back to Chelsea.
frustrating to say the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, will I wild card soon? Maybe, but I think generally speaking, team's okay. If
Yeah.
Palmer plays, might be even a bit of a tasty differential because people got rid of him
Mm-hmm.
and all this type of stuff. But currently, I like the looks of getting rid of Palmer and Richarlison just to add an additional player there because I can play Semenyo, I can bench Williams and play Richarlison.
Yeah.
Then the team looks much stronger for the game week. So, and also long term, both look like great options going forward. So, yeah, I don't hate the ideas. I don't really hate the idea of going -4 early in the season.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't trust Jorginho either, which is like staring at me like
I do.
prick. And I'm like, yeah,
I think
you
he's going to
do?
start. Yeah, I think he's going to start. I think he's been out because of injuries. He was out Game Week 2.
Yeah,
Game Week 3, he wasn't quite ready to play from start, but he came on and played. Welbeck has looked terrible. He's going to be their main striker, I think. And potentially on penalties as well with O'Reilly
yeah.
leaving. So I think Jorginho is actually like an underrated pick this week. Bournemouth as well could be a high scoring game. Bournemouth have been pretty good defensively actually so far. But yeah, Brighton are also the type of team to score in any game. So I don't think he's like that pressing of an issue. I think you can at least give him the Bournemouth game to sort of show if he plays or not. That's the downside. Like maybe he's benched again. If that's the case, just sell him. But yeah, you'll have more money to upgrade him as well if you do Palmer to Semenyo, for example, or someone else. But also just want to mention with interest in the funds, Richarlison over the likes of Joe Pedro and Mateta and stuff, it's also down to the funds. If you do Palmer to Semenyo, you have 7.4 in the bank if you sell Guiu, which is annoying because it's right below those really nice players there in Mateta and Joe Pedro, especially Joe Pedro. Yeah, you were going to say something?
Yeah, because the issue with João Pedro as well is if he scores, you fall behind so many fantasy players because he's so well owned.
Yeah,
It's
60%.
absolutely crazy.
Just about.
So a part of me is considering maybe bringing him in and seeing what I can do there in regards to, yeah, I'll have to have a big think there and see. But
I mean, would you be up for
maybe it's
having another Everton midfielder next to Dewsbury Hall? Because like NDI and Grealish by itself are really good picks. They would probably
for
be my
sure.
favorite
But
picks apart from Semenyo. I think they are my favorite picks. You saw in my wildcard draft, I had NDI at like my 5th pick.
yeah, the only issue is Everton's sort of matches are kind of hit and miss.
Yeah,
So
Liverpool next game
I
week.
and I we're gonna batter them. I probably not, but I think just generally speaking, you know me, I you can look at my team besides City. I do like technically spreading the team like the midfield and stuff like that. I don't like doubling up too much on the same position. So for me, it's more about making sure that I can spread it out. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't go with a double up in midfield because I like getting my points from various different clubs in those positions. So,
Yeah,
but I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea of them because that trio are playing really well and combining really well. And NDI, I think penalty taker, good, just awesome, just very entertaining to watch and all this type of stuff. So I don't
Hmm.
hate people going for him and a Dewsbury Hall in that regards. You
Yeah.
know, they make up one Palmer in that sense. So yeah,
Yeah, that is
or
fair.
slightly more,
I think it's an
less or
interesting
more
double up.
rather.
Was that?
Yeah, or actually slightly more, but that doesn't matter. But yeah.
Yeah. Then the other thing I want to talk with you about is the captaincy choice, because you have both Salah and Haaland, which I think is an interesting position to be in. Because
Hmm.
you have Haaland captain currently, and it seems like you're pretty set on that. So what do you think in terms of Haaland versus Salah? There's the captaincy. Like, what is making your decision go towards Haaland at this point?
I think the point spread is much better at Liverpool currently because everyone's sort of getting involved in scoring and having fun.
Mm.
Salah's not really gotten into that crazy Salah mode that we know he can do,
Yeah.
but that's also why I'm a bit scared because Burnley's the right team to get going against.
Yeah.
And of course, Burnley could easily uh, give away a pen because Salah is a bit of a pen merchant, like, regardless of what we want to say. He did get lots of pens last year, and all it takes is something like that to get his confidence back on track because they've looked good, but
Mm.
that's the scary thing about Liverpool. We know they're capable of looking even better than they currently are, but Salah has been sort of hit and miss, and it's taken him like super late to get goals contributions as well. Meanwhile, Haaland's been consistently really, really good, and obviously coming out of like facing Moldova must have been the best thing he could have gone right before the Manchester Derby. And also, like I said, they're playing at home. That is something to consider. Burnley did, of course, with Sunderland, but they did beat them and were able to keep a clean sheet, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, kept a clean sheet. All this type of stuff looked pretty good and looked good against United too. So, um, can they do anything against Liverpool? Probably not. But yeah, I think either you could literally just look at both and close your eyes and captain. And I
Yeah.
think you'll get a good result. So I don't hate going with either. I'm gonna be captain hindsight and be pissed off depending on whoever does better, depending
Yeah.
on who I captain. But I think both are great choices. For
Yeah.
both are penalty takers, both are crazy expensive, like they should be. But I am backing Holland currently simply because they've looked pretty decent. He's looked pretty decent. I think, yeah, I think City will bounce back in terms of league positioning. I also think that this is very easily the match where Salah could go crazy. So it's going to be very touch and go until the final minute. But currently, I'm going with Haaland captain.
Yeah, and I think that's actually what I would do myself as well if I had Haaland and Salah. I'm also currently like potentially looking to bring in Haaland myself because I can do it in 2 moves without doing any -4 or anything like that, and still have a strong enough team to bench boost as well potentially. Triple captain could also be a thing. This is like not the worst game week to use it. Whether you want to use it on Salah or Haaland, I think both are viable options in that regard. But I think especially for those of you guys like you who have Haaland, I think game week 6 against Burnley just sticks out like clearly as the game week to do the triple captaincy. Because like I said, a lot of people are looking to potentially free hit in game week 6, and if you free hit in game week 6, you cannot triple captain in game week 6, and you can actually gain a lot if you do have Haaland already. Or if you bring it in permanently for game week 6 and triple captain him in that game week against Burnley, because I think that's like the main thing. Burnley at home for Haaland, it doesn't get much better than that. You only get one chance per season, and that's in game week 6. So that still would be my priority. But if you want to be a bit different and go with Haaland now that no one has him and triple captain him, totally get it, because you can get so many points that no one else will be able to get to, which is amazing. So yeah, that is a possibility for sure. But it is just that Man United fixture. Who knows really? Last season, Man United beat them 2-1. Surprisingly, we've seen, like you said, Amorim do it in the past. So yeah, going to be a difficult choice in general there. But yeah, I'd probably go with Haaland myself. Then we go to Kimo's team. He has a lot of different options there, actually. The most interesting thing I think about his team is the fact that every single player is playing away from home, apart from Dewsbury Hall. Selson, Nico Williams away to Arsenal, Konsa away to Everton, Salah Wirtz against Burnley away, which is not the worst, I guess. Fernandes against City away, Kudus against West Ham away, Joe Pedro against Brentford away, and Watkins against Everton away. So the fourth option I have there is free hit. He could use the free hit chip now because he has triple Forest. He has some other issues with the team as well. Don't really like his defense that much at all, especially with the away games like I just mentioned. But he has at least double Liverpool, and he has Salah. He has a really good captaincy choice already. So I don't think free hit is like a necessity. So I would potentially also, in like a completely different way, maybe just stand pat, just accept that Game Week 4 is not going to be the best game week on paper at least. It could still be good because you have some nice players there. So you could just stand pat and wait for Game Week 5 and Game Week 6 to be a lot better in terms of fixtures and save up some transfers eventually. Or you can strengthen your defense. Could either do Nico Williams if you don't like to double up on Nottingham Forest defenders, go from him to Lacroix, for example, or you can go down to Tosin to save some money potentially as well. But I think Tosin Adarbayo is my favorite like long-term defender out of the 4.5s potentially. And I think Konsa is also someone that I would potentially look to get rid of, but he also has good fixtures alongside Nico Williams. That's the downside to selling them. They have not the best fixture this game week, but from Game Week 5 and Game Week 6 especially, they do have good fixtures. Game Week 7 as well in Konsa's case. So yeah, a lot of different options there for Kimo. What is the most appealing to you think out of these four, or do you think there's any other potential move we could do, selling Fernandes or something like that, or or potentially selling Watkins? Like, what is like the immediate thoughts you have with Kimo's team and what he should do for next game week with 1 free transfer and 0.2 in the bank?
I think I don't hate the idea of a free hit either because, at the end of the day, a free hit gets him the chance to even try out Holland. There are some really nice home fixtures that he could target. His defense doesn't look amazing
No,
in that regards, and
looks
looks
pretty
and
bad.
like Chris Wood. Oh my God, Chris Wood. So I think he should free hit personally. I think
Okay.
there's a lot of uh, fun potential that he could aim for in terms of players and in terms of his defense. I think if he free hits, he could potentially get Gyökeres in. He can get this player in. Like, there's a lot of fun having an Arsenal defender.
Mm-hmm.
All these sort of things that is clearly missing from his team because he has a over reliance on sort of the right player, some right teams, but some are just downright wrong players. And yeah, I think it could benefit him in that regards. Sure, he'll probably free hit and take out Wirtz, but you know, I think there's a lot of ground to be taken back, and I think there's a lot of good fixtures to aim for. So my advice to him would actually be to be actually genuinely free hit. But I don't hate the two options that you've given him. I don't think standing pat is the right call. Personally,
Yeah.
I think inaction is not what his team needs right now. I think a transfer is required, and I think a free hit could be even better. Personally, but
Yeah.
totally up to him.
Yeah, I think it's fair. When it comes to free hit, I think like in terms of which players I would consider on a free hit that are currently in his team, like Salah for sure, he would definitely be on a free hit regardless. Joe Pedro I think is also.
Yeah, essential.
I mentioned this in the Wildcard draft video that he has played in Bolivia, like 4,000 meters above sea level, 90 hours before he's going to play for Chelsea. And last season he was out for Game Week 4 because of a knock though, last season. But I did look into the data, like I mentioned in that video, that 2 years ago Argentina played in that same stadium and had a game, and the Premier League's fixtures next game week I should say were about like 90 hours after that game, and most of the players actually did play in that game. So I think Joe Pedro's going to play. He might get subbed off a bit early, maybe. Potentially, but I think he's still a really good option. So he's definitely someone I would consider on a free hit, but maybe not. Watkins is also someone that I would like. That's the thing, like Wirtz and Watkins. Ideally, since they're out of form, you wouldn't have them on a free hit, but I think they could actually bite you in the ass. So there's just a bit too much like things that are, or too many things that I'm not too confident about to free hit here. But if you really like Holland as captaincy shout over Holland or Salah, for example, I think free hit could definitely be viable for you this game week. But yeah, I think I would probably just do a transfer because I think the double up with Forest defense is just too much, even against Sunderland and Burnley. It's still probably too much with Postecoglou. So I think maybe Williams to either Lacroix or someone at 4.5. Could even go Senesi for like long term as well for 4.6. could be an option. So I think maybe that will be what I would do. I don't hate the thing of standing pat just because the next game week is looking pretty good. But it looks pretty good if you even do Williams to someone else as well on top of that. So yeah, a lot of decisions for Kimo. Haven't asked him myself what he's going to do. Might do that after the podcast actually to see what his current plans are. But yeah, interesting game week for sure. Captaincy Salah is pretty simple in this regard, I think. Without Haaland there, I think Salah is the straight up easy option as captain. So don't think you're going to have anything against that either. But yeah, let's move on to the final thing. The manager of the week, who hasn't so far done any transfers. It seems like a zombie team, or has done one change, and that was the vice captaincy change. But this is the projected current squad I have for this team, with Saka being out for sure, Palmer potentially being out for this game week. Saka on the bench, obviously, and Palmer starting. But I think the main thing, like we mentioned a couple times now, the captaincy choices, Salah or Haaland, you need to get one of them for this game week. And that's what I would do with 2 out of the 3 free transfers there. Either you can do Saka to Salah and Palmer to Paquetá, which is what you have enough for if you do get Salah for Saka. Or you could do Saka to Reinders, for example, or someone else, KDH, you have already, so you can't bring him in again. But yeah, Reinders is probably my favorite player in that sort of price point currently. Saka to Reinders, and that gives you enough money to go from Watkins to Haaland and captain Haaland rather than having to captain Joao Pedro, I think. So those are my 2 suggestions. I don't know what you think about the different suggestions. Like, would you go with option 1, option 2, or maybe something else entirely? You have 3 free transfers, so you could do more. You could do like Palmer to Semenyo, downgrade someone else. I don't really know where the money would come from though. Is the issue. Like, I don't know who I would downgrade to have enough still to get Salah or Haaland. But yeah, what do you think of this manager and the potential transfers for this upcoming game week?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, for me, I think option 2 works better because he already has Vert, so he has that
Yeah.
Liverpool coverage. He has Van Dijk, so yeah, I would say go for option 2. I think very viable, especially with the matches coming up and that Burnley at home. Oh my God, I'm gonna triple captain the shit out of Holland then. So yeah, so I think long term, good choices. And I think Holland has shown that little bit of extra comparatively to Salah. But obviously, if you can get both, try and get both. But it would require a bigger shift from the manager to be able to do so. So
Yeah.
for the time being, Holland Reinders, go for it.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, with Van Dijk, Gabriel, Fernandes, Verts, there's a lot of money just spread around. Watkins, Joe Pedro, like, it is a really expensive squad because it is a no Haaland, no Salah squad. And that's like the difficulty with that. Like, it's going to be more difficult to get them in, but you can get in one of them with these transfer options that I've listed here. But again, if you're watching Manager of the Week, Ehab Al-Hashemi, I think that's probably a butchering of your pronunciation anyway, but let me know how to pronounce your name, and also let me know if you're actually watching this content or if you're just like a zombie manager, which could be the case. Who knows, really? But yeah, it would be interesting to hear from you if you are actually watching. And again, if you guys want to be a Manager of the Week, you can join the FPL Scope Min League as well with the league code FNPQ83. And if you get the highest score next game week, you'll get featured on the next FPL School podcast. But this one has come to an end. Almost, because as always, we leave Kevin with the final word for the podcast before we end it. So, Kevin, take it away.
We're about to see a Holland hat trick.